have I gotten here today? How did I skip so many grades and end up going to college at the age of 12? And what can you learn from me, at least in terms of learning math and science or in any other academic field? And my number one advice when it comes to mathematics from my own life is don't overthink anything.
मैं लड़ जाना है लहू में एक चिंगारी सिर से जुनू तक है जाना हर कतरा बोल रहा
Namaste to everybody and good afternoon. I am so sorry for being nearly 2 hours late. I believe exactly 2 hours late, actually. I was very sick last night, but that does not excuse that I have not been able to serve you well, especially since you all have been following orders, you've all been punctual, and have all been on time. And ostensibly, you have also been here for the last 2 hours, sitting and waiting for me to motivate you all. So, I'm just going to go over my life very quickly. I was born in April 2012, and when I was 1 year old or so, my mom was teaching me basic arithmetic because she wanted me to be ahead of the rest of my grade in math and reading. So, she was teaching me basic addition and subtraction at the age of 1 year old, and she would be asking me, all right, what is 1 plus 2? And I would say 3. But then, Mom, what's 1x plus 2x? And she was kind of scared because she didn't think a baby could jump from arithmetic to algebra, make that mental jump that quickly. And so this just kept happening with multiplication and then division. And then once she got to fractions and place value, it just kept happening. And eventually, she was so confused that she decided to tell my dad, who was a mathematics student and who had already gotten his bachelor's degree in mathematics by that point. And he taught me for several years. Your parent is one of the best resources you can ever have when it comes to mathematics. And please, do encourage them to teach you more about any subject. They're not here just to regulate you and serve you food. They're not just here to teach you life lessons. They're also here to help you in terms of your homework, in terms of your actual mathematics. And they should be actively seeking out ways to help you as well. So please do encourage them and tell them, I need help. I feel like I don't understand this, because they're here to help. They're your parents after all. They're not some random stranger on the street. So when I was 8 years old, my dad finally couldn't teach me anymore, so he passed the job on to some of his professors, as well as professors from some universities that accepted to tutor me. So in the meantime, my formal education was actually quite slow. I had to go through the first standard, and then the second standard, and then the third standard, all at the regular age. 6 years old, 7 years old, 8 years old, 9 years old. But eventually, once the pandemic hit, I was showing my parents I just wasn't motivated to do formal schooling anymore. It just didn't feel like a challenge. I had dozens upon dozens of missing assignments. I would often just have my camera and microphone turned off during my third grade classes, or sometimes I would just not attend them at all. and my parents saw this as a big problem. But instead of scolding me, telling me to just be better next time, they actually accounted for it. So the year after my third grade finished, we moved to a new house that was several miles away from our original location. And there, my mom and dad advocated for me to be moved to a new grade because it was clear I wasn't getting enough challenge from the things I already had. It was very clear to them that I was very advanced in both math and reading. And the only reason I was falling behind wasn't because I was below grade level, but rather because I simply wasn't being challenged. And so they convinced my principal at the new school to let me take a grade assessment test, which showed that in both math and reading, I was in the 12th grade level or above. You all have so much potential, even if you feel like what you have out there, you all have so much potential. So if you see what you have out there isn't challenging you enough, don't just take it, because then you'll lose your skills by the time you finish it. You have to move to the next greater and bigger things. And then, when I was 9 or 10, I graduated from 8th grade to 9th grade, and in 9th grade, it was very clear that I was becoming comfortable with the older students, and I was becoming comfortable with my new classes and my new schedule. My grades were going from something pretty bad in 3rd grade to 90, 95. In fact, in my first year in 8th grade, during my year in 8th grade, I got a 97 GPA out of 100, which was one of the highest in my school. So eventually, they decided that I shouldn't just be going to normal high school, but I could be jumped once again from 9th grade all the way to 12th grade. And once I started 12th grade, I also started multiple college courses on the side that I did fairly well in. So my biggest advice to you is to, number one, seek challenges, because opportunities don't just come to you. They don't just walk up to you and slap you in the face. You have to go looking for them. If you don't look for challenges, you yourself will become dull, just cutting the same exact thing over and over again. If you actually try and find something hard, if you actually try to find something hard, your intellect will improve by several times. For me, I was stuck on these cookie cutter problems. Originally, I was doing math just because I was better than everyone else. But one day, I decided to take the American math competition. My brother had taken it a while ago, even though he did pass the competition. But I was motivated to try it out. And even though I thought that math was all just the same problems repeated over and over again, just rehashed and with different numbers, that competition gave me a completely new perspective on mathematics. That competition actually had original problems for me. Instead of graphing y equals 3x plus 1, it would tell me you have the line y equals 3x plus 1. There was a block of cheese on the point minus 4 comma 2, and there's a mouse running along the line y equals 3x minus 1. What's the closest the mouse can get to the cheese? And that, in problems like these, didn't just take 1 or 2 steps to solve. They weren't just the same things applied over and over again without any real meaning. You actually had to take into account the context of the problem, the words within it. You had to understand why every term in mathematics meant the things that it did, and what it actually meant in the real world, instead of just what it means on a piece of paper. So that competition was the inspiration for me to actually start doing math, because I fully enjoyed it. And that was only when I was about 9 years old. So once I started the AMC, I actually managed to pass it on my second attempt when I was in 12th grade. Unfortunately, I couldn't pass the second competition, but I mean, that's just the way life is. Sometimes you have to go looking for other challenges instead. And it's not just in the US that these competitions are available. These competitions are all over in India as well. But if you don't actively seek out these opportunities, they don't just come to you. For example, I believe it's called the JMO, the Junior Mathematical Olympiad in India. And there were some very challenging questions on there that you can train for. But don't just do math and study it 10 hours a day because, you want to impress somebody else, or because you want to be famous within your school community. Doing it for fame or doing it to impress somebody never works out in the end. You're never actually going to become good at it because eventually that person is going to leave you, or they're not going to become interested in you anymore, or simply something might happen between the two of you that you are no longer in contact. And then you have no purpose in doing mathematics or doing whatever other subject that you're doing just to impress somebody. You'll be thinking, why did I do this? And even if you're in a job where you're not required to invent something new, like for example, you're a doctor, even if you're doing something like that, then you're not going to be remembered for anything. You're going to be remembered for being just another doctor who did the same exact things all the others, didn't push for any changes in their hospital, didn't actually save more than the average number of patients. They were just mediocre. And that's not how any of you want to be remembered, if you're even remembered at all. You want to be remembered as someone who made an impact. And I have full confidence that all of you at this stage in your life have the potential to do that. Have the potential to be the impact that people around the world will remember you for. Every single one of you in this room, think of 600 some. You all have the potential to go out there and reach for the stars and be remembered by whatever community you take part in. So I think that it starts right here, right now. And whether it's in math or history or art, A, don't think it, and B, look out for these opportunities, these challenges, these circles. They don't just come to you. And so it's not just, but even though they're a lot more well hidden in many other subjects that aren't hard STEM, for example, essay challenges for reading and writing. You could go out there and buy a very long book or a book above your grade level. And I'm sure none of you have read college book by Leo Tolstoy. But I know what you were interested in. So you have to go out and seek them instead of just sitting there following what everyone else is in the regular school curriculum. Of course, the school curriculum is good enough as it is. You never want to be remembered, because then nobody's going to remember you. Everyone's going to remember you if you actually did something extraordinary, if you did something that was above the line, if you did something unique or special. So I think that you all have the potential and have the ability to not just get good marks on whatever exam that you take, but actually be remembered by somebody for something that you did that no one else was able to do. Actually reached out for the stars where nobody else could. Wrote a paper on a subject no one else was brave enough to research. Read a book that no one else in your grade or in your community had access to. Perhaps improved living conditions for some place that was horrifying war. Whatever the case, you will always be remembered by somebody if you did something that was above the normal line. And although most of you are seeking lives in the Indian Army, that should not prevent you from making an impact too. You could be one of the most soldiers that has ever lived or has ever served, instead of just another foot soldier who for a few days and then walked back home. Of course, army life is incredibly hard, but if you're going to watch so again be remembered for nothing, what was the point of all of your work and all of your struggle? You have such 12 or 18 years that you've already lived. And so I think that there were so many opportunities that you, and as you get older, of course, these opportunities are going to become smaller and smaller. You no longer have access to school-wide competitions. You already have you already have enough skills in reading or writing to write a good enough essay, enough book for your level. At some point, when you're 30 or 40 years old, there aren't really any opportunities anymore if you have to tough them out. So you need to go do it now instead of just becoming another person for being average. There were so many things you could do out there that can distinguish you from everybody else in this route. There were so many things that you can do to be special. So just do it. There were so many things out there that you all have the potential to do. I know some of you will probably not do that well in math, no matter how hard you try. That doesn't matter. Some of you may not do well in math, but you may be the best players ever witnessed in basketball or cricket. Or you may be the best writer that's ever, or you may be the best writer that's ever lived, or the best artist in the country. It doesn't matter. So I think once again that although my achievements are very big, you can go out there and achieve something for yourself as well. You have so much to be remembered for. There were so many opportunities and so many ways for you to take life right now. So right now, you all are in the same exact outfit. It's all just people sitting with a red and green have a necktie with white button-up shirts and black pants. But I think very soon enough, all your outfits aren't very distinguishable, you all will be very distinguished and very unique people. People who have skills in everything. People who have skills in everything, ranging from, for example, shooting to other sports like swimming, to basketball, to cricket, and then the academic subjects, math, to physics, to chemistry, to reading, to writing, to history, to art, and so on and so forth. I think there are so many things for you to seek out that can distinguish yourself, so don't overthink it and just go for the opportunity. That's it, and that's all the advice that I can offer you from the 12 years I've lived. Thank you.
He said that the earth is actually a huge generator of energy, and that energy can be harnessed. So he tried the water grid tower, which actually would harness the energy and use the energy for process. And he also said that there is free and unlimited energy everywhere around us. Is it possible to create a machine to harness the energy and on top of that, transfer it all over the world wirelessly?
Let me see the full question.
This is asking, sir, one of the greatest.
Okay, I see. So, that's a great question. I believe Nikola Tesla was using a metaphor there. Now, of course, energy is technically all around us in the form of, for example, mass or electricity. But right now, that energy is so hard to extract and harvest that it actually takes more energy to harvest than energy that we get back. For example, harvesting energy from a little bit of mass has been done, for example, at particle accelerators in CERN, but it takes so much energy for us right now that we actually lose energy from it. Now, of course, I'm sure we already have renewable sources of energy, such as nuclear energy, but I'm sure one day we will be able to create these renewable sources of energy and make them widespread. Although there are already renewable sources of energy, and it could be definitely possible to spread these renewable sources of energy everywhere. This unfortunately hasn't been done because of resistance to changes by the government and also by these big oil companies and electric companies. So Once again, of course, it's definitely possible, but we don't have the resources for most of it right now, and B, the infrastructure is being resisted by many rich oil and gas companies. So of course, it's definitely a possible future, but I don't think it's a probable future. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. With this, we are going to conclude the question answer session.